One of the most polarizing characters in Guilty Gear Strive Season 2 was Zato-1. So the question of today's video is, what happened to Zato-1? He's gone. In Season 3, he got some nerfs. Basically, everyone dropped this character. But why? Are the nerfs really that bad? In this video, we're going to look at the character concept for Zato and what exactly did they do to him in Season 3 that made people stop playing the character. Zato is described as a technical shadow warrior, so he's able to summon a shadow that he can control. So you can straight up move this fella, you can punch with it, and he has different follow-ups depending on what input you do. You can do them with motion inputs, so you could do core circle forward to summon, or you can do core circle back H and then go from there. But unlike other summon characters, you manually control Eddie the entire time. There are some characters like Relius from BlazBlue, for example, and I'm pretty sure, like, for a more recent example, Nier from Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising, talk about a little bit of a mouthful, is like this, where you summon the puppet or the other thing and you use motion commands to do stuff with the puppet, and it kind of just generally follows you around. But this is not the case with Eddie, so you are able to totally control where this character moves. He also has a unique and classic mechanic called Negative Edge, where the special moves actually come out when you release the button, not when you press it. All things being said, the game ranks him as a very difficult character, like a 1 star out of 5, so definitely not for beginners. The game says he's pretty technical. What were the polarizing things about this character? So first we have to look at what the character actually does to beat you. So essentially, the main way you win is you fight with Eddie in tandem, so you can do a bunch of high-low mix-ups and strike-throw mix-ups. Zato alone is generally not considered that strong. His normals have a lot of recovery, he can't double jump. He does have a flight to compensate though. He has no invincible super to speak of, so no reversal at all. He has a low life total. So you can see an easy more than 50% from Milia, who's not really known for her damage. So Zato's around like bottom 5 life total in this game. But the trade-off is you get uniquely powerful offense with Eddie, and some things that other characters can't do, like this mix up into a normal throw, into Eddie hitting, into a further combo. So a lot of Zato players would say that in Season 2, he was around mid-tier at the lowest to high tier at the highest. So not like a straight up top tier character, but a good character. And despite his flaws, in a tournament setting, he was really able to overcome a lot of these weaknesses. Again, he had the really good offense. So again, sequences like this, pretty hard to deal with. This is only one of many ways that he could open you up. He's also difficult to use defensive techniques such as YRC. So here, I'm trying to YRC during the drills and he's baiting me. But if I choose to do nothing, he still gets to keep the advantage and he can sneak in things like overheads and throws. He has a lot of burst counterplay. So for example, I have here doing a pretty simple example, and these kicks are burst safe. So let's say I just bursted the second one, boom, just like that. And he had far more in Season 2. And despite him not being able to double jump, he has a great super jump and great stalling tactics like flying, along with being able to steal turns and the threat of a command grab in order to get Eddie back. Quick little example of that. So I'll have him kill Eddie real quick, just like kind of waste him, and then steal a couple of turns. This is Season 3 into command grab, and with this I'll be able to do normal, and now Eddie's back. So now that you have a baseline understanding of the character, keeping it really simple, let's talk about specifically what they did in Season 3. So one, we have to go back to the point about burst. So before I showed you this little sequence where I burst on the kick and I die, right? So again, he has a lot of ways where he can sneak in burst safe routes. And one really important threat that he had was a move called Break the Law. So that's this move right here, where he goes underground and just goes underground. I don't know what to say. He goes in his own shadow and goes underground. Breaking the law because it's unfair? I don't know. Now in Season 2, sometimes you would watch a top player play against an opponent Zato and you'd think they would literally look dumb because they're just not bursting. And you're like, what are they so scared of? And the thing that they're scared of, for example, is this. Okay? Break the law. Like something like 2K2D, break the law. So I'm gonna burst, break the law. Boom. So in Season 3, you can burst this even though he's underground. They made a change to burst where it has a huge shockwave that hits full screen. So in Season 2, this would not connect. But in Season 3, it does. YRC also beats Break the Law, which it did not used to. Break the Law, losing to these things was not in the patch notes. the Zato players, and if you read this description, you will see that I got a lot of notes from my teammate Jonathan Tene. Shout outs to him. They said they think this is unintentional. I don't know. It's not in the notes. Y'all can have that argument with each other. The point is, it just is what it is right now, and this is a pretty big blow to his offense. In this game, everyone has the same Gatling, the same basic chains they could do. They do different stuff with the chains, but everyone has the same base rules. So typically, things like jabs are safe to YRC, but also you can go for hard baits with things like jumping. The thing that was unique about Zato is that with Break the Wall, you could threaten being burst and YRC safe at any time. So if someone was aware of this, sometimes they would hesitate on bursting, because if you burst against Zato, you probably just lose immediately. So the next problem comes from the Flex Shield. So this is a new mechanic they added in Season 3. So Zato was known for, repping mix-ups over and over. So he'd have stuff like this, that he could do. Now, with the Flex Shield, it acts in block stun. It's quite literally a push block that you can do. So now what you could do is, when he's coming at you, you can kind of just push him away, and if actual good timing, you could really negate his offense. So using the low, for example, okay, so that hit me normally, but if I use the Flex Shield, he's just gone. So he's kind of forced to do the high to make sure he stays in, but then that means you could just block high. There's this weird kind of guessing game you could do with him that's really hard for him to deal with. The next big thing is that they really nerfed Eddie coming back. So in classic Guilty Gear, it took a long time for Eddie to come back, but in Strive, Eddie came back in 3 seconds. So right now, it comes back closer to older Guilty Gear games than when Strive came out. So if I kill him off now, and you'll see, it just takes quite a while for Eddie to come back. Again, this is more similar towards older Guilty Gear games, but he did get revamped. And they also nerfed other important neutral tools he used to get Eddie back. Frankly, in Season 2, if you hit Eddie, he backdashed a couple times, and you weren't running at him right away, he would have been had Eddie back already. So the cooldown being longer is combined with a couple of other factors, right? So they also nerfed his total flight duration. So when the game came out, people had mixed feelings about his flight, because in older games like XX, for example, his flight is just way faster. It's a super good neutral tool. But over time, it was found that his stalling is pretty good still in this game. So because even though it doesn't seem as good as older games, the main thing is characters are not that good at getting up here. So with Milia, it's kind of trivial, right? But you usually have to really dig into your character and see how you can actually catch him up there, because there's some characters that just can't get up there very easily, or have to really overextend in order to chase him. So he's doing super jump plus flight, so this is about as high as he can go, and when he goes this high, pretty much my main usual option to catch him would be JD, but I have to go really high and wait super out of my way. Normally I would do something a little bit lower, like this Yozan-sen thing, but if I do it at instant air dash height, it's not good enough. So I have to kind of go up here. He still got away. So fly a little bit, can't catch him. See what I mean? So Viken has a high floaty jump, and if I don't catch him before he starts flying, he's pretty much gone unless I use Yozan-sen, basically at the tippy top of my jump. And as far as his jump, not only is he good at stalling up here, but he's also good at waiting and baiting out anti-air. So his flight actually ended up being pretty good over the game's duration. So while he could still use it as anti-air very easily, it is much harder for him to stall. He basically would have to do this 3 times before he's able to get Eddie back, where in Season 2, you could basically just wait here, and if they're not good at chasing you or they don't do anything, by the time you land, you'll have Eddie back and you can resume your game plan. This also ties into what happens if Eddie dies and you're rushing him down. So in Season 2, if he gets a command grab here, he just instantly gets back Eddie, but he still has to attack a little bit. Command grab is actually one of your better outcomes. If you're trying to get Eddie back via just pressure and not opening them up with a strike throw type thing, you will have to reset your turn 3 times. Basically, Zato players just peel off at this point. So I'm going to do a recorded streak here. So Eddie's dead now, and now I'm going to try to burn everything I can to get Eddie back. So I would have already gotten him back before I did the second pair of drills, and now he's finally back and I can set up as I want. So you have to really overextend. Again, Zato is not the best at solo pressure. He's okay at it, but you're definitely overextending. There are definitely gaps in this offense. With burst and YRC beating break the law now, the cost of getting hit by this is much higher, and it's harder for him to bait, which doesn't let him do offense as easily. And then finally, the last thing to consider is what happens with wall stick and positive. In this version of the game, when you get wall stuck, you actually build a ton of burst. This was to stop people from doing a lot of wall stick for mix-up. This is not the cleanest way it's ever been done, but you could set up a wall stick and then call Eddie and set up drills from here. People could just do that until they built the meter that they needed to break the wall. A bunch of characters use stuff like this, so the most famous one is Ino, because she was like the first to do it, but then characters like Zato, Happy Chaos, other characters started using this tactic quite a bit. It's not something all characters can do, it's just a very specific group of characters, and it was really good in last patch. Now the game wants you to get positive, but this costs doing the wall splats. If you do choose to do this, you're giving your opponent a lot of burst. So the way the game kind of is now, Strive had a honestly deserved reputation of being a high damage game when the game came out, and you really had to be careful on how you used burst. But right now, while it's still a high damage game, you get a lot of burst between getting 30% burst on wall stick, some characters doing a lot of hits, so they give you a lot of burst speeder, and Zato is one of those characters that he gets bursted way more than he used to. It's not like it's all bad, so a lot of people were thinking that the reason why they gave him all these nerfs is because they were scared of how strong he would be with Wild Assault. I'm sure you've probably seen, and we'll definitely use the clip of Zato doing unblockable into unblockable into unblockable, Guilty Gear XX. They're definitely scared of that type of character appearing again. That's not fun for anyone really, except the person who's doing it, to be honest. But a lot of people believe that they kind of went too far. So it was kind of weird in season 3 because basically everyone felt, if not immediately buffed, then buffed later. So like for example, I play a character, Biken is my main, right? So in 3.0 a lot of people are like, isn't she nerfed? But after like around a couple of weeks to like a month of playing her, I was like, yo, she's actually really good. But Zato was like the only character people were like, yo, they literally just nerfed him, like just straight up. You might be like, but okay, there was just a patch in December, so what happened to the December patch? So the main blatant buff they gave him was a buff to Invite Hell, where it has 2 frames more advantage on hit. I don't know how much this affects combos, but apparently the purpose of this was for combos. From my perspective, his combos still look the same, so don't quote me on that. So really we gotta look at system mechanic changes, because he didn't really get like big changes, and he didn't get a new move where Axel and Potemkin did get new moves. So one big thing that happened is the positive bonus got nerfed. So this actually affected him a decent amount because he would use positive bonus to get his burst back. So again, shoddy example, but I'm gonna break the wall here, and you have to use 50% of your burst to use Wild Assault, right? So then he pulls up, he does a little pressure, and the positive bonus duration is just much shorter, so you don't actually get your burst back right away. And one of the things that people didn't like about Wild Assault last patch was how much burst it took away, and it only took away 5%, so I'm actually getting my burst back way before Zato does. So his burst economy is like not that great. He relies on like system things working well in his favor, and again, one of the most important things that made him strong season 2 was that he was just really hard to burst, so he was good at keeping momentum. In a long set, maybe not the biggest deal, but for tournament, a really big deal. So basically, they tried to give him a little juice, but system mechanics kind of screw him over a little bit. You have to remember too that the flex shield got buffed, so the same thing we showed before means that it's just much stronger against him than before. And then you have to remember too, a lot of characters got buffed, including characters he kind of did well against. There are characters we would call like bad. I wouldn't call them bad, but the community would, general community would call them bad. Like Bedman is a really common one, for example, or Potemkin. Everyone's like, Potemkin sucks. So they got buffed Wild Assault, which I just made a video about kind of recently. They got a little juice plus some buffs. Potemkin got a new special move, but Zato just got extra 2 frames on Invite Hell. And it's a pretty common take. I actually don't have a personal opinion yet. I'm still thinking about it, but many strong players of the game consider him to be one of the weakest, if not the weakest character in the game at the moment. So is there hope for Zato, or is he Lato? I hate how people put fucking L. I have people put L in front of characters' names, but whatever. I don't know when it started, but whatever. There's a couple of things they could do. Arxis does go back on their changes sometimes, but it's not that common, you know, but there's examples of it in the game. So one easy one is the season 2 Gold Lewis drone. So we were all like, why would you make this move not go away on hit? That's crazy. And then they were like, all right, yeah, we messed up. That's our fault, right? So they could do something like revert 1 or maybe even 2 of the changes they did. So for example, and again, they think it's unintentional, making break the law go under burst would be very helpful, or making it so he could stall for longer would be a little helpful, or making Eddie come back would be pretty helpful. But I think right now, Zato players' hopes are all in whatever the new move is, because they did give him a follow-up to break the law. So he got this a while back, so it takes a while to set up, but he could basically switch and teleport to where Eddie is, which he's had moves similar to that before, but they never really called it a new move. Actually, when I ranked the new moves from Season 3.0, when they added 6 new moves, people were like, you forgot Eddie. Or they would say like, Zato's new move is so bad, you just forgot about it. But again, according to all the patch notes we got, it's not considered a new move. So really, the stocks are all in him having a new move. And it's been a pretty common theme so far that they'll give characters a new move that generally fills in a big problem the character has had for a long time. So for example, we have Potemkin. So I have Baiken just kind of like hopping over here. You might be like, why? And one of his actual problems was he's not really good at hitting people who are kind of full screen in the air. He has like full screen tools like Slide Head, for example, or Hammerfall that can pull up. But if someone is wisely using their jumps from a pretty far range, he doesn't really have anything that he could do unless he has meter to spend. Until now, this is where the new move Heat Tackle comes in. So if you catch him with the move Airborne, you force him to the ground, and you have a good amount of frame advantage. And it also actually combos off jabs and has pretty good corner carry as well. It simultaneously deals with his less than good reward off jabs and also people camping in the air from full screen. And that's kind of been the theme with new moves if the characters had like some flaw that people have been abusing for a long time. So the thought is either give Zato something that helps with that in some way. Some people recommended like a charge, meter charge, like Happy Chaos Focus. I don't really know what they're going to do with him, but that's what everyone's putting their hope in. But alright, that's what happened with Zato. Why people dropped him pretty much. They were just like, he was good, but not like top tier, and they nerfed him. When they nerfed like them nerfing like mid tiers and stuff is pretty uncommon, starting from more like modern fighting games, especially like Dragon Ball FighterZ and stuff. It's really uncommon where they're like, oh, this character's mid, we're gonna nerf him. Like back in the day, it was way more common that they would just randomly shoot characters and randomly buff characters, but the Zato thing was kind of out of left field for a lot of people. But he was really unpopular with the general populace of the game, and it's kind of hard to learn Zato counterplay. I mean, he's a 1-star difficulty. All the characters that are hard characters, I'm doing like this, all the characters the game says are hard have a lot of specific counterplay that can take a while to learn how to actually implement. And Zato was big on that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you guys feel like it. YouTube loves it if you watch other videos, so go ahead and do that. And I'll see you next time. Peace out.